Okay. Oh. These fucking fruit flies. Dude, they literally exist. And there's nothing in here. I'm gonna break my lease. Okay. That's a joke. I will say, I think that the Matan confronting John is really a funny headline, and I almost clicked on it. So that's where I'm at the current moment, and I am de-lining. I'm getting off the line right now. And, I'm getting offline, but I'm not, because I'm actually going to upload again. I actually feel like I have just taken a, what is it? Gryffindor potion? Yeah. I feel like I've taken a Gryffindor potion. I don't even want to quote J.K. Rowling, because, wow. Hello. Okay. But that's okay. To each their own. And you know what I mean. So let's do this. Let's stop clicking many things, not consciously. Look, what's funny is, I already feel more comfortable talking out loud just because I've been doing it more. So I like that. I want to talk about, I guess, because this is just coming up organically. This is how I want these things to happen. What is happening right now is divine. I really believe that. What is coming out of me right now is kind of like how when Radiohead made all that shit, and that shit was real good. It's kind of like one of those moments. I think that actually once you can crack the code to living better in this sometimes difficult reality, and I really actually have my fingers in mudras right now. That was the hard one. But, so let's see if it works. But I have this awesome, expansive happiness about life in the very moment. I feel so, wow, this is crazy. Okay. It is, okay. Okay, let's go back. I have to add a title because I'm so excited about all of these. I'm just so excited to finally be speaking, because so much of my life I have not been able to speak for whatever reason, primarily because of my placements in my natal chart, which you may or may not believe in. And you're totally right. It could just all be math, in which case it's probably right. So let's go over here. I don't want to, is it episode 4? I think it's episode 3. It's episode 3. So, yeah, wowies. I'm finally able to speak. Now, I will say that my medium, I've been saying that so often. You know, when you have phrases that you continuously say and they just are like this phase, some of them just stick with you forever. I guess, yeah, it's kind of generational too. So it's like, I guess you can age me by, yeah, we all know that. So, okay, here's the dealio. The dealio is, for so many years, I could not really speak, like, very shy. And not that I couldn't, I could with certain people. But there were very few people. One, because I've always been so hyper selective about who I actually get close to. I'm very particular about the people I get close to. And then the people I get close to are generally very smart. Like, much, much smarter than me. So they make me feel like I get that anxiety, like, okay, this person's like, they're like, you know, I'm talking so slowly and they're just like, come on, what are you trying to say? So I haven't ever been diagnosed with anything ever, and I don't believe in any of that bulls, but I do believe in it to an extent, so I shouldn't say that so definitively, because that's not nice, and it's not true. So I'm still trying to put this all here, so just, I'm gonna talk and do this because I am capable of doing that. So it's just a relief to finally body talk, lighting, I am the niche, and therapy. Wowie. I feel like I've somehow discovered a way to live in the present and in the 90s, which is basically the coolest thing that could ever happen in 2026. So, I would call that peace. And, wowie. So, the fact that I'm even talking out loud comfortably. So here's what I was getting to. So the friends that I've had are very few over the years. And mostly that's because I'm kind of a relationship person. And then it's also like I have a few that are around who've like come in my life, in and out of my life, like forever. But I'm kind of that person who is I'm like very tied to like people I've known for a long time. And I really cherish that. So I always try to keep friendships with people that I've known forever, even though that's not really happened. But I do, like, I am still relatively young, you know, I guess. It doesn't feel like it, but it's true. But all those people that are around in my past were special in so many ways, and I think I will always value them, and I can't really think of many people who I've crossed off the friend list. Pretty much everyone I've ever interacted with, who I had some kind of close relationship with, if they were to like be like, hey, I would be like, oh, yes, what's up, dude? Or hey, like, hi, you know, depending on who it is. And I don't know if everyone's like that. I don't think everyone is like that. Because, okay, wow, I have gone in so many directions in my little brain here. I wanted to say that well, it doesn't matter. Being able to speak is such a beautiful thing. There's something about being this age where you just don't care anymore. It's like, I might have to move that. Sorry if that was too close to my mouth. You just don't care anymore because, I don't know, there's just a comfort in your own flaws. It's like, I know I'm not this, and I know I'm not that. I know. But I also know that I am like a loving being. I know that I do just make friends with pretty much everyone. And I do know that even if I prefer my solitude overall, that, you know, people do matter. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's how you spell it. So, you know, I think about the people from my past a lot. And maybe that's because I don't know if everyone's like that. I'm such a nostalgic person, and I've learned to not be as much just because I've grown and like been a lot of different people at this point in my life. And obviously all being the same person, but you know, I do need a drink soon. You know what I'm saying? So I'm almost done. I've tried hard to maintain my autonomy in life because I always knew that one day I would have to just go all out. And that one day is probably here. Also, so I'm going to talk about how it felt being younger and having that weight of okay, so this is how I think. I think a lot. And I think so much so that it's hard for me to say everything at once. And I also am very conscious of how other people receive what I'm saying. So I just want to make sure it's done in an appropriate way, right? So, yeah. And what that led to when I was younger was, one, finding other outlets. So I was really always drawn to music, and art. I did go to art school. It wasn't art school. It was design school. And there is a big difference between art and design school. I will say that. I actually probably would have been better off at an art school, which I basically made it into. But design school would have served me better professionally and financially had I known about anything in the world then. I wonder what I would have done, but I probably would not have gone to design school and probably would have taken the option. I remember that the state of Florida sent me like this paper my senior year, and they were like, you are a part of this group and we will pay for you to go to any college. As long as we pick the college in the state, we will pay for it. I think that would have been a really smart decision. With that being said, I would not be who I am, nor would anything be what it is now. But I do think it's important to just like acknowledge things in your past that maybe you spent a long time like battling with. I think for me, I spent a long time like being mad about my decision to go to design school, just because it was such a difficult, not linear process. It was not like, it was a lot of things actually, and it was so beneficial in the long run. Like, I am who I am because of that experience, but it was very, very difficult. Very, very difficult in so many ways. Everything is. It was also really great, so I shouldn't say that. I guess I'm just bringing that up because it did help me find my voice as an artist. I have always kind of had a strong voice, but what it made me realize was that I did have a strong voice, and that even when people who are around you or like what you do, they'll always just try to find something that, like, they'll try to limit you. People around you will inevitably find the bad, or they're just gonna critique you. And like, basically, you have to learn how to handle it. This was not where I was expecting to go, but it is where I went. So there must be a reason, there must be a reason for it. I remember feeling so confined by my own voice. Like, I was so shy And I wasn't that shy where I didn't have friends. I definitely did have friends. But okay, here's the thing. I'm not the type of person who likes to hang out in big groups. Big groups are so annoying to me because they become very performative. And the people that I'm usually closest to are like the performers, because we both kind of have that kind of like weirdness and like individuality to us. But I'm like the one-on-one kind of person, and I'm a listener. So when I'm in situations like that, it's not as bad now that I'm older. One, just because I don't put myself in those situations, but two, I just don't feel the pressure to stay in them now, and I have more control over who's actually around. So that is helpful. But being that way when I was younger was very hard because I just hated being in big groups. And everyone knew that. Like, I just hated it so much. And reflecting on it now is hilarious because why did I even try, you know? I don't know. So, okay. How I've learned to develop my voice, I'll tell you. One, I've always written. And not excessively, but at least in some form. Whether it be like poetry, not poetry, just like random thoughts, journals, lots of notes. Yeah, just, and I do like to read, even though I haven't had a lot of like free time in my life to read. When I have had free time in my life, that's all I did. So I've gone through like, okay, I want to stop saying like. I've gone through cycles of intensive readings and then intensive workings, but everything is in like it's like very dense blocks of whatever it is I'm doing. So I become fully consumed in whatever I'm doing. But I haven't really had that kind of life where you have like comfort and you have like a normal career and you just like go to work and come home, and like I have not had that. I have had the just hustle and like try to survive and try to figure out the shortcuts to living your best life so that your worst days don't end your days, you know? So I have used yoga and reading, okay? Reading and yoga. I have used those things to power through this sometimes treacherous, hard life. That is so dramatic because I feel very light and good right now. But sometimes that's just not always the way it is. And sometimes other people will never experience that. That's okay. It's also okay to feel like the heaviness and responsibility of survival. And it is very real. And it is particularly real right now in the world. So, okay, be nice to people. Like you never know what they're going through. I think one of my bosses who I really respected a lot before we got into a big argument, I think that she said that. I always get into arguments with my bosses. Even, it's so weird. I can have this is like, what is this? It's a repeating theme. I can't think of, actually all of my bosses I've always had so much respect for, and like really admired them as people, and really just like treated them like family. And then I felt like they really betrayed me in some way that was so inexcusable, like, and just like so hurtful as a person, that I felt so betrayed, That's such a messed up thing. So maybe I have them to thank for being at that point where you just don't care because you're just confident in who you are. Yeah, I like being confident in who I am. It's a good feeling. It can be a difficult feeling for other people too. Especially when you're the type that is like quietly loud. So, I hope by sharing this that I don't, it's like such a weird thing to just talk about yourself. But I mean, that's all I have as a reference. And it's just nice to sometimes have like someone who you like that you can listen to talk. I just like that. I'm one of those people. I'm a listener. This is for my people who are like me, who just like to listen to people talk. Like, I love to listen to people talk. Especially people I like, who I respect as humans. Especially, like, there are so many people I can think of right now who I've met in my life. I wish I could just hear them talk in their bed at night. Like, what? Please, can I start the movement? Because I am happily starting this movement. Please, people. Like I said in maybe in my aesthetic video, I don't know if it was in it or not because I don't remember. But the internet needs to do more hanging out, because hanging out is like a thing of this not reality. This is a non-reality. That may not even be a parallel reality. Because I don't see people hanging out. Like, I know they do. I do see them. I'm lying. I do see them. I see them everywhere. It's just me. I'm just not in a hanging out phase, okay? And the only times I've been in a hanging out phase were at times when I was very financially comfortable, because I wasn't like, trying to just like build a TP with like, hey, Is that possible? I don't know. But that visual makes me want to eat shredded wheat. what are they? Shredded wheats. That's probably sugar craving. But with that being said, I will take a sip of water and hope I am not diabetic. And I am fighting it if I am. But yeah, I'm remembering this one time. So many times. I'm having a couple memories. I don't know why I like to share my memories. I told you I was nostalgic. But I think it's a good way to process, like, life. Like I said. And I haven't written any great albums. I would love to do that. And I hope that someday maybe I do. I would love to write great albums and, like, make sounds. I really think that I could happily welcome that into my existence. Except that would require so much. But it's possible. So, look, I wrote it twice. Oh my god. I wrote therapy twice. That's awesome. Okay, I'm officially gonna shut off the robot. Okay, robot is gone. So I can lay down. My favorite place to lay. Okay. Okay. Here we go. So, where are we gonna go here? For someone like me, I have a very, like, specific Saturn placement, which delays your speech, basically. And I think that placement has actually just shifted. So that's probably why this is happening, in part of. And, could just be life. So, again, it's just math. But, wow. Music is very essential and has been. I'm surprised that I have this much to say because I've spent my whole life in silence. That's not true. But, it kind of is. I am an only child, so I don't really, have people around to talk to. And I have had a good amount of people in my life. But it's always very few people. And it's never really, I don't feel like you know what? I feel like a few people have seen me, really seen me like this version of me. Or maybe they've seen, a glimmer of it. But I don't think it's a lot. I don't think it's a lot. So, There are specific poses that help. I will tell you that. And it is fun to change your voice based on positions that you put your body in, and based on the foods that you eat, and based on how often you practice things. That definitely changes the resonance in your voice. It changes the range that you have. It changes the, like the, what is it? How do you say that word? I don't want to say it because I don't want to, who cares? It's like, is it camber or timber? Look, when I start talking out loud, all of a sudden, it's like, what? Okay. Hopefully, by continuing to do this, I just get less critical of things before I say them, and I just start speaking more like confidently, because I notice that happens. And that's probably why we're encouraged to take like speech classes and debate classes and that kind of thing. I'm pretty sure we all have to take a speech class. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's different nowadays. It could be different nowadays because of the whole internet thing. Yeah, I don't know. But I did find in my being a shyer, creative youth and young adult that I used art and film and music to express myself, definitely. And I guess it integrated a lot with my processing of emotional hardship and grief. So, grief in your younger years is a very unique experience. I can't compare it to anything or talk about it in comparison to anything because I don't have that. But I will say that going through something like that at a young age, it is actually beneficial in the long run. It is. I think because you gain a firmer belief in belief itself. You gain a firmer foundation in faith, whatever that is. And for me, it's definable, but it's definable in a very personal way. And when you're that young, there's this it's almost like a protective measure. And I don't know if it would have been better or worse at what age. I don't know. But I definitely know it is significantly and has significantly impacted the comfort that I feel now, which is such a strange thing to say because it was not that for a very long time. And I see people, and I've seen a lot of people in my own life and strangers who were clients and just interactions with people, and it really shifts you internally And I think it shifts you in ways that we might not talk about in the world, like in very intense, like philosophical ways. So, yeah. The thing is, too, is that some people have this altered experience, alter, this, no, it's like an opposite. It's like an opposite. This, is it opposing, though? It's not really opposing. Or just say other. Some people have this other experience of grieving that is so deeply prolonged and layered based on such like emotional like trauma or pain that could be from a lot of different things. But I'm thinking about ways that, like, I guess this is all coming back to like how you're, well, I wasn't really meaning for that to happen, but it just happened. So how your parents affect you so much. And I always become close to people who have like some serious like parent stuff. I think that's because I've had some serious parent stuff too. But in such different ways than a lot of people. And one of my like really good girlfriends, wow, I just like, that is some like serious kind of stuff, you know? So I think it's important to talk. It's important to give people space to talk. And it's important, I guess I'm kind of like, well, I'm always advocating to just be like people's friend, you know? Just like be people's friend. You obviously have to know how to communicate boundaries, because sometimes people aren't really aware of like their current state and they may not even mean it a certain way. So that's a difficult thing about life. It's just always communicating boundaries and always redefining them and trying to be as present and firm and comfortable in the moment and in yourself so that you can respond in the most necessary way in that moment. You know? But you have to have a voice. You have to have a voice. And you have to practice having a voice. And sometimes practicing having a voice comes in many different forms. It comes in writing, it comes in speaking, it comes in art, it comes in creating, it comes in sounds, it comes in advocating for other people, it comes in getting lost in daydreams, it comes in creating your own world. Like, it comes in all of these different beautiful ways. And this is why I love psychology. I love like the history of philosophy, at least any that I can understand, which is not that much, turns out. Like, I need like like, who's someone that I would want to read? Well, like a lot of them, but there's one I'm gonna have to think of his name. Okay, all of them. Most philosophers are difficult to read, but any like information about living better or how to live or like mindfulness or anything to do with like nature and the soul or nature and consciousness, I'm interested in. And at the same time, I am interested in like soft, fuzzy blankets and going to the mall, you know? So it's a wonderful world that we live in. But it's important to give people space to talk and to just exist, and without like a lot of judgment. And we all judge people, and hopefully we're able to catch ourselves in those moments and just see them as human beings, as like strange and demented as they may seem. Somehow I always make friends with people who are like very, 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 have like very, very different perspectives as me. Maybe that's just because I give them the time to talk, you know? Because I don't totally write them off because we disagree. Like, what kind of crazy thing is that? Like, obviously, you have your beliefs and your opinions based on your own experience. And my experience is not your experience. So why would I not at least give you a second to say something? You know? With that being said, my actions might be in direct opposition to your belief. But I am happy to listen and to at least engage in a conversation. And I think that's what like a lot of hate and just like hate is such a terrible thing, you know? Why? It's just so hard. It just makes your own existence harder. It does. It makes your own existence harder. And I definitely am someone who has the capacity to fully like destroy everything and burn it to the ground. Don't get me wrong. Like, I can really like be a normal person too. But the reasoning, like the reasonable being in me says, listen to this person. Like, just listen to them. And I think that's so important. What I have found in my practice is that a lot of people just want you. You are holding, okay, first off, massage is the most sacred, incredible healing practice that exists in the world. Done. It is the most incredible form of peace and acceptance and friendship and diplomacy and truth. It is the ultimate truth. There is no greater anything than, one, compassion for another human being, and two, like, just complete surrendering to the mechanics of anatomy and physiology. That is my, like, MO. That is my thing. That's what really gets me. I love it. And it's such an incredible, how we don't even know, all of these things that we're using, these devices, these machines, we cannot make the things that are inside of us. We cannot create anything like what we are. So they're totally different formats of information. And that in itself is awesome. So point is, the body is incredible. Anatomy is incredible. And people deserve to be listened to. They deserve a place to feel whole. They deserve their own space. People deserve their own space. They deserve friendship. They deserve love and compassion. Even if they have beliefs that you may disagree with. That's just how I see things. And I will say that it's really nice to listen to people's stories. I love listening to people talk about the things that they've learned that I would never know. I love that so much. I want to know all the things that you have spent thousands of hours mastering, or even not mastering, just, okay, we all form these, we all become great at something. And it can just be like something as simple as making rice. It can be something as simple as like repetitive work. It doesn't have to be like awe-inspiring. It can just be reality. It can just be normal. It can, like, I'm not impressed by like vanity. I'm not impressed by that. I'm impressed by like ethic and like discipline and like humility, So, wow. I'm sure I would love for someone who has grown rice to tell me how. And I'm sure it took this very specific way. The simplest things, like, it's kind of like, okay, let me see. When you're using a tool of some sort, it could be any kind of tool. It could be like painting, calligraphy. It could be like some kind of like wood shop tool, like working in something. It could just be a skill, like maybe editing, like proofreading. It could be like surgical. It could be like trimming trees. Like anything is interesting that requires like the art of doing, and everything is the art of doing. So in essence, what I'm saying is that I just love hearing people talk about what they've come to know. And I think everyone has had this profound life in some way. And some may be trapped in emotional, like, blockades where they can't see their own goodness, or they can't see their accomplishments, or all of these things. And those people need, even more than anyone else, someone to just listen to them. Someone to just hold space for them and not judge them and just be their friend. Because people make mistakes, and sometimes suffering is so intense and it brings out the worst in us. It does. Just yesterday, I was a total dick to the people at Starbucks. And I didn't mean to be, but I was so fucking hungry. These little things. We have to be able to, like, okay, reflect on a situation, step out of ourselves, observe the situation, and then, continue on. Acknowledge. If you can acknowledge when you've done something wrong, wow. What a simple and beautiful thing. I have no patience for people who do not acknowledge when they do things wrong and they don't take accountability for them. I do not have any kind of patience for that. I will say I'm kind of like, yeah. And that's where, we all have some work to do, right? Was it Hegel? I don't think it was Hegel. Maybe it was Hegel. I don't think it was. But now I'm going to have to look it up and see if, like, one, if I can understand anything, like, beyond, like, 3 words. I need, like, philosophy for dummies for every single philosopher. Written by, I don't know who. Written by Joan Didion. That would be so weird. I really don't know. I really haven't read that much. I wish I had more so I could, like, really, you know. I hope that someday I have that time to be able to just enjoy, like, reading. And then there's the whole, my poor little eyeballs just are always working in overtime, and that shit sucks, man. I wish that we were a little further along in the biologic technology so that I could just put some new eyeballs in. So I would like to be on that list if that is a possibility. I don't want someone else's eyeballs, you know. I want my eyeballs with my same soul, you know. And until that technology is created, I don't think that we are evolved enough as a species. That's my personal opinion. But, yeah. Oh. I've really been wanting to play pool. I haven't played pool in, like, too long. Oh. There's no... I wish I just had my own pool table somewhere. There's never anywhere to go that's, like... I always feel pressured because there's only, like, one pool table. And it's like... I actually don't want to play with any of you. I just like this. And I just like the feeling of getting better at it. And I just want to kind of hang out here for a couple hours. I am thinking of, like, one place I could go to, but I could go there, I guess. I could go there right now. It would be a great night to go there. But then I think about how my eyeballs are already tired from just driving down the street and how it's a whole far drive away, and then I would be so tired. Blah, blah, blah. See? But I don't know. Maybe I should just live a little and no. But I will keep it around in the sphere of potential because I just like it, and it's a freaking fun game. Like, who invented that? I need to look this up. I'm sure whatever the oldest civilization is, they had to have invented pool. I wonder if it was with, like, sticks, though, and on a table. I would assume it would be on the ground. Not because they're not as evolved, but just because they're probably more evolved, so they're more, like, in their bodies, and they could easily, like, squat and get up and move around and all the animal moves that are so easy for healthy beings. So, I still wish I could be playing some kind of music in the background, or just, like, the talks and jams. the chills and chats. But then that would interrupt the whole stream of consciousness thing, which is kind of the point of it. But I do want to be spinning good sounds, you know what I'm saying? That's my elbow. It's probably very dry. I'm gonna guess that's what it is. Because I have not been drinking enough water. Let me do that. Yeah, let me do that. Okay. It's important to make yourself drink water. Yep. It is important to do that. And today, I was not as productive in the moving my body game. I think, I have to make sure I don't get too consumed in my current creative mania so that I can stay on track. I gotta stay on track. Gotta stay on track in this life. And what am I supposed to talk about now? The bridge. Okay. The path, the yogic path. The yogic path. The bridge that sways. That is built out of pieces of twine and wood. That is anchored between two very prominent rocky plateaus. In high, expansive skies. It's definitely a climb. Definitely a climb. I'm sure there are many ways to figure out like harmony with nature and life. And this is just, one take on it. But I tend to stand like very firm in my beliefs. Although I'm always open to, more information. I'm a very curious person, it's true. That's why I love people so much, and I wish okay. Being kind of so shy and like pretty introverted, like dominantly, I'm kind of weird. I'm kind of like an introverted extrovert. No, I'm an introverted I don't know. I'm like a loud introvert. I'm like one of those people who doesn't really, like in a class, I'll probably not say a lot, but I'll be very observant. But then when I do say something, it's like very loud, but not in a like loud way, but more in like a, like, this is what I think kind of way. So the point of what I was saying was that being shy and not talking so much and being more of an introvert, I wish I had spent more of my early 20s being open to talking more to more strangers. That would have, and not in like a weird way, but just like anywhere, just pretty much everywhere. I did talk to a lot of people because naturally my jobs were in sales or in like client facing, people facing roles. Sales, real estate, medicine, all people facing things. But I wish I had spent even more time in my own time just being comfortable with my voice, as crippled as I felt. I really had this feeling, okay, this is what's so, I'm going to try to describe it. Like, growing up, I was always a singer. I've always sang. And if you were to ask any of my neighbors throughout my entire life about the person next to them, they would say, yeah, this person is a singer. They are a singer. They sing a lot. No. One, I think that helped me deal with the difficulty that I had, like, speaking confidently, or my introversion, or a combination of all these things. So I strongly advocate anyone who feels like they don't have, like, someone to talk to or, like, anything, to just sing and just, like, get it out. Because it does help, and it is helpful for the body and the mind and everything, and the soul. So that is important. But the way that I felt for so long, and I wonder how this will transform now that all of a sudden I feel like talking. It's like someone just took the masking tape off of my mouth. That's how I feel. So I'm kind of curious. Obviously life goes through these waveforms. So I'm wondering, like, how the future will be if I'll just keep going, like, in growing and feeling more confident and just, like, nurturing the voice more, I wonder. Or will I feel that same weight that I felt? And I'm going to describe it. I don't know if I ever described it to anyone. But growing up, I was a singer, definitely. That was, like, what I did for fun. That was, like, pretty much favorite and best thing ever to do. I didn't grow up in a house where I had, like, we had a lot of music. I will just say that. There was a lot of music, there was a lot of family, a lot of music of family, and just good times. So, very good, very positive childhood, which not everyone has. And maybe that was a part of the singing, because well, I'm not going to go down that road, but okay. So I have to get comfortable because this is not working. So I started playing, what was my first instrument? Oh, that was hard. Maybe I started playing music when I was, like, young, like very, very young, like 6 or 7. I was in, like, music ensembles. My school actually had a really great, like, music class, and the music teachers had classes for the kids before and after school, and they were, like, ensembles. Like, I remember being in choir. Even in elementary school, I was in choir. And even in elementary school, we had, like, a Orff ensemble where we played, like, glockenspiels and, like, what was it? Was there a marimba? In different sized, like, wooden instruments that were like xylophones. They're Orff ensemble. Okay, so, and that was such an awesome thing to have. Wow. I mean, really think about it. And I do remember I still remember one of the teachers, and I don't know if I even want to say his name, but he was such a radiant person. And I think about how old he is now. He must have been maybe my age now when I was, like, 6 or 7. So that's really crazy. But he was such an incredible human. And I was so young so even to know that is, like, wow. And so then that was, what a beautiful thing to have. So that helped the whole being shy. Also, I was in, like, a public school, and I was in, like, certain gifted classes, and the gifted classes were fine, but some of the normal classes were, I don't know, like, just normal classes. And I remember they would always put me in, like, this center room to just do work alone. And now reflecting on it, I wonder if they knew that I was so shy that, like, I couldn't interact with the class, or that I just maybe focused better when I was alone. Like, I wonder what that really was. Like, what was that psychology of that, you know? Because that is what I prefer. Even now, that's what I prefer. But I've learned to have to interact with people, but I think it's totally a waste of time to be in class with many people talking. That's a different subject. But so, like, finding your voice when you have this kind of, you're given this, I had such a strange thing. I was so shy, and I always wanted to sing, And I remember asking my mom when I was in 5th grade, I was like, Mom, okay, because this is why. They were always very encouraging of like extracurriculars and like whatever I wanted, they were trying to get me into. They were trying to figure out what I liked. Well, they knew I liked music. And I had not done a lot of other things. And sports. I liked music and sports. And so I asked her, like, okay, I want to take voice lessons. Because, hello, you see I'm always singing. I was always singing. And she asked some lady who was a piano teacher or a vocal coach, and the vocal coach was like, well, you need to get her into piano lessons, which in hindsight kind of pissed me off. And it kind of pissed me off then too, I think, but I didn't know that language because I didn't want to play the piano. I just wanted to sing. Like, I did not want to play the piano, okay? So then I get into this piano class, and it's not at all what I want, which is singing. Like, I'm not wanting to play Beethoven. I'm not. But I'm doing it. I'm playing it. I'm reading the music. I do still remember my piano instructor. She was such a nice, like, cool lady. She had such great patience with me. And I think she's probably a wonderful person. And I could remember her name for so long. I can't now. And it was at this piano store. And I remember loving going in and, like, I would like test all of them just to hear like the resonance. But at the time I didn't know because I was so young, but I just loved, like, each time I would go in and I would play a different one. And then she was so freaking cool and she encouraged that. And all of the guys were so nice that worked there because I was just a kid and I was so nice, you know. So anyways, and I still remember the smell of the piano place. It had such a, like, musky but new, like, humid Florida piano shop smell. And yeah, it might even still be there. But so I think I only did that for like a year because I remember practicing on my keyboard at home and I could not stand the keyboard. It did not have the weighted keys that I wanted, and it did not have the same sound. It did not have the same feeling. Everything about it, I just didn't like it. It was not fulfilling. Had I had a real piano, I guarantee you I wouldn't have quit because it was a feeling. It was a feeling in your body that you got. And that keyboard sucked ass. I fucking hated that fucking thing. I mean, it was good. Like, don't get me wrong. My parents got me, like, a nice keyboard. It was, like, of course, like, the top of the line keyboard, you know? They didn't, like, they did their part. Like, they didn't. What were they going to do? Give me a grand piano, you know? No, that wasn't, like, my life. Like, we were just, like, a normal, like, family in, like, a normal house, you know? It was, like, nice enough, but it wasn't, like, I didn't grow up with, like, a baby grand piano. No. Anyways, so I stopped, and I never took vocal lessons. I wonder if that would have helped. I'm sure it would have. But I went on to play, like, many, many instruments. I think the first real instrument that I, like, comfortably felt like very good at was the violin. Like I felt very, very comfortable. And to this day, I think it's one of the best instruments to play, like hands down. I don't know if I could do it again. I'm sure I could if I had one and played around long enough. But wow, what an incredible feeling in your body to feel. Kind of also a strange position to hold your body in, but very, very cool. And a lot of instruments. So I think that playing instruments helped me find a voice. But I remember being in my early 20s and I had stopped playing music. I stopped playing music. I stopped playing music. All those other stories will come out someday. But all my friends were musicians. And that really is like in the deepest depths of me, like that is who I am. I don't know if that will ever be realized like in this life or what the deal is with it. I don't know what my like karmic imprint of this musicianship is, but it's something big. And I just remember feeling like always like, oh my God, like I would be around my friends who were playing and I would like in my body physically and in my mind like be able to play like so seriously, like, and it's definitely piano and I don't know what it is and I could just hear it and everything, but I just couldn't do it. I don't know if it was just like fear. I think a lot of it was fear and shyness, just like this incredible like weight. I described it as feeling like a handicap. Like it was like being deaf in a way. Like I could see what I wanted, but I couldn't say it. But in this case, it wasn't that. But it felt like a handicap. And it has felt like that my whole life. It has felt like that my whole entire life. Which is such a weird thing because I like have always been so musical. And still to this day. I am at most peace when I am in my car, like blasting my music and like singing very loudly. So that's something to be said about getting over your shyness and introversion. And that has been a great like coping skill for me throughout all of these years. And it continues to be something that I go to, and I unfortunately have lived in apartments. I wish that I hadn't, but I encourage people to give people space to to tell their stories, just to listen to other humans, to really listen to them, to sometimes really observe them and listen to them. And even more, listen to the ones who don't say anything, because the ones who don't say anything sometimes have the most to say. And that is my soapbox. In a very like loving soapbox kind of way. That's all. Thank you.